I always found that I learned more and progressed quicker by focusing on the things that I really wanted to learn and not by forcing myself to do this exercise every day or these scales every day, or, you know, this week I'm focusing on this and this week I'm focused. I found that if I just focus on the things that excite me at that moment, I ended up progressing much quicker and learning things in a much more natural way.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, you know, at some point when I was a kid, I grew up playing a lot of bluegrass music. I played mandolin and acoustic guitar, and then, you know, played electric, but at home jamming to records and stuff, you know. But live gigs, the first stuff that I did was all bluegrass music. So I would flat pick on acoustic guitar, but I was stuck around the first 4 or 5 frets of the guitar. And anytime I tried to go up here, I was completely lost. Completely. It was awful. And finally, I watched this video on Homespun Tapes by this guy named Pat Flynn, who was in a band with Sam Bush called Newgrass Revival, and he's a Nashville session acoustic guy. Anyway, I watched his video, and he stressed if you wanted to get unstuck and learn how to play up the neck and solo, you had to learn your chord shapes. And then you had to learn your chord shapes, your scales around the chord, and then look at those chord shapes. And I swear to God, of all the students that I've ever taught, or the people on Artist Works now with my lesson school, you know, which is over 500 students, 99% of everything that I tell these guys is that I don't care what level you're on, if you're getting, you know, if you're getting lost in any way up the fingerboard, you got to learn your chord shapes. You have to know your chord shapes, the scale around them, and you have to know, you have to be able to look at those chords like, okay, what I'm talking about is, here's E, here's an E here, here's an E here, here. So the beauty of the guitar is all those repeat in every key. So once you learn it in E, you pretty much know it in every key. Or if you learn it in C, you pretty much know it in every key. It's the same shapes that are just moving up with this movable, you know, your first finger becomes like a movable nut. It's moving all the way up, you know. So if that's E, that's F sharp, that's G. You know, same with C. You know, this C shape would look like this if you had the bar there. So that shape just keeps moving up. So once you learn all those, once you learn those shapes and those scales and some of those arpeggios in one key, you kind of learn them in all of them. That's one positive thing that you can go, okay, well, at least I don't have to learn a different chord shape for every key. There's a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel for you for that, but if you don't already know that. But so that was a huge help to me. I mean, that, like, once I did that when I was about 13, I sat with those videos and after school or whatever, and I somehow I got into it and I learned them, and it really, really helped. So and now, since I don't read music or theory or anything like that, everything that I play, I can pretty much show you what chord it came from somehow. And how I'm looking at the guitar, I'm coming from probably the biggest unschooled mind of anybody that's playing music professionally that is out there, because I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know how to count time or rhythms or anything like that. But if you can feel it, then that's all that matters. Because in Nashville, to work, you don't have to know how to read music, and if you can go in there and play something that feels right, you're going to work. If you can go play something that feels right, you're going to be able to get a gig. They're not going to ask you if you went to Berkeley. They don't care. So basically what I'm saying is, so, you know, learn those chord shapes. Take a G, and then look at it. Like, you should be able to look at the guitar and go, okay, where's your G in your C shape? Well, you should be able to point to all the notes without even touching the guitar and see that shape, because that's how well you have to know those shapes, in my opinion. So if you have G, you know, I'm looking at this part, I'm looking at this part, I'm looking at this part, and I'm looking at this part. The triads. 1, 5, 3, 5, 3, 1, 3, 1, 5, and then, you know, this part is just, well, you do here. It'd be 5, 3, 1 there, but, you know, that's your bar chord. And then I would take that and go, okay, I'm going to outline that chord. Oh, first, okay, maybe we'll play the scale. Okay, then I'm going to outline it. That's 1, 3, 5. Basically, you're doing your arpeggio, and I can see that chord and those notes clear as day. So then I'll go, okay, there's G7. Okay, I'm going to outline that chord. Or let's see. You know, I'll outline that. And then another exercise I tell people to do is to see how that kind of, you know, how that little 1, 3, 5 outline of that chord, I'll say do like your G, C, and D just with your 1, 3, 5. So that would be like. So that's like G, C, D, G, C, D, G, C, or G, C, D, G. So I'll just build on those like triads. Okay, take your G, C, D, G, C, D, G, C. What key am I in? G. Okay, here. C, D, G, C, D, G, C, D, G. And then do that here. You know, G, C, D, G, C, D. Just do that with your 1, 4, 5 all over the place. And I promise you, you'll start seeing the guitar neck differently. Because everything I play is out of those chord shapes. And here, take this shape. I'm probably out of tune or whatever, but here, look. So that shape right there, your C-shaped G chord, if you outline it, right? Okay, so this simple little swing type lick, you know, pretty common little couple chromatic notes, you know. A little bit of basic note leading in there where you're climbing up to the major third, you're walking down from the 5 to the 3 here, and you're outlining this perfectly. But you know, that lick is a simple way to get from here to there. If I was trying to explain to a student how to play that lick and they couldn't visualize that chord shape, they're going to be completely lost.
He's right. Chord shapes is the key to all, well, not just chord shapes, but chord knowledge. At least knowing what makes every chord, and you know, as many inversions of it as you can up and down the neck.
And the pentatonic shapes also.
Well, of course.
But
it's a mix of all that, like, because pentatonic only takes you so far depending on the changes of the tune.
Right.
So it's like you can always be based in the pentatonic, you know, key center of the tune. But then what if, you know, there's some different chords in the tune? You know, you're going to have to highlight that chord as it goes by. The only way to do that is know what's in that chord, you know, and where it is everywhere.
3, 4.